All right, guys, so it's day one-ish. It's late starts. Right now it's about 11 o'clock. As you see my other video, I pretty much already have started on my late model. As you can see, I got the rear half of it off. I do have the rear of it right here. So I already went and took apart the diff. Didn't really show that. If you've worked on RC cars before, you know what's in there. If you haven't, I'll get you on the next video with my SC mod. Almost the same thing, but this is a lay down transmission. Refreshed the balls, changed the balls out on the ball diff, changed out the thrust balls. Yeah, changed out the thrust balls and washers, put all new fresh grease inside of them, new rings. So you see, got the old ones here. Let me wipe this off here. As you can see, it does have a little wear on them. You can see that little shiny spot around them. Pretty much shows where it's been wearing. You can flip them if you would like, but I went ahead, since it is a big race, we're gonna go ahead and put all new stuff in it. We change out some bearings. We change out the spring inside of all of this. So all of this is refreshed. The bearings for the top shaft, island gear, everything looks good. There's no slop or anything like that, so we should be good on that part. Once I put everything back together, I will break in the diff. I'll show you what I do on that. Something that some of the pro RC drivers do, especially in the off-road, to break in their diff. So we'll go through that process. So pretty much we got it apart. I'm not gonna do much time lapse, like I said before. If I have or haven't, I'm not gonna do much time lapse. I'm pretty much just disassembling the car, looking for any kind of wear, abuse, slop. If the arms get too loose, we'll replace them. But yeah, I'm just working at it. It's late night. I'll get so far, and then I'll probably clean up the back half of this, and then I'll show you what I'll do here with the shafts here, the dry shaft. So. All right, guys, so like I said earlier in the other video and then just a while ago, I'm not gonna do much videoing, but I will start kind of going through some details of the car. So like that, whenever you do see me racing and I do say C and D block, stuff like that, you kind of have a reference of what I'm talking about. I know some people know, some people don't. So I'm just gonna go out as a part of maybe you don't know. Now I do have some other videos that I've mentioned some other stuff, and you just kind of have to dig through them. I can't really remember because, you know, sometimes I post, sometimes I don't. So let's get back to the car. All right, as you can see, we're looking at the back half of the car. So my last race, where you saw that we didn't do so well at the end, you know, it is what it is. I was talking about taking off the D block. This is your C block, D block. Obviously these hold the hinges right here for your rear arms. So like this right here, on this particular car, the majority of the time, no, all of this do come is with aluminum blocks. This is obviously brass. Obviously we put brass in the rear to try to help plant the tire. Now that could be good and bad, because if the car is too tight, then this is not going to help you because you have too much grip in the rear. And I know we've been messing with springs and stuff, but you can go back to aluminum to kind of lighten up the rear. Now, let's say we're struggling with forward bite, or the track is kind of loose, or just, you know, it feels like the car's on top of the track, not necessarily like digging. Weight in the rear will help you out. Now, this is also, you also utilize where you can change your anti-squat. As you can see with the blocks, it has a indication of where they're at. So I can move this over here and actually give it more toe in. You can put it neutral. So obviously anti-squat comes in a lot. Now anti-squat, what is it? It's really kind of hard to explain because I don't know the proper terminology. And the last thing I really want to do is give you wrong information. Now, if I'm wrong, hey, comment below, but be nice about it. You know, this is, we're all learning. No matter how long we've been racing, we're all learning. But if one of the biggest things you can use is off-road setups. Like Techno has really good information on the deals. Hoodie has some stuff. There's a couple other guys out there who have put out valuable information on paper on what it is. But the way I understand it, anti-squat is kind of like if you had a live axle. A lot of the dirt track cars, you'll see where the car is kind of like hiked up. But what it's doing is that rear end is trying to go underneath the car, trying to get it to dig. It's the same thing here. If you look at the side of the car, if you look at the angle of this arm right here, it's at this angle. So we're trying to do the same thing. Now, to my understanding now, anti-squat is an on-powered deal. Obviously, you'll get more of the benefits on throttle. So off throttle, that means it's a little bit looser, a little bit freer. The ass end of it's looser, so it'll help you rotate. But once you get on the throttle, it digs. So now that could cause pros and cons to that, right? So it's too loose coming in, but it's too tight coming up. So that's, that's why you change the pills how you want, and a lot of things come into play, right? So you really get yourself screwed up really fast. And obviously, I don't know everything, so it's not why I'm always perfect. So we're always trying things. Pro squat, now it's the opposite from what I hear, which is off throttle has more grip on the car, right? But off throttle and on throttle, it'll not have as much grip. So, you check and balances on what it is that you need depending on what the car is doing and how the track is. That's my version, if that makes sense. All right, on my other video, we talked about the spacers, about shortening and lengthening the wheelbase, right? So that's a good side view of it. So it's all the way forward, so it's the wheelbase is shorter. So yeah, that's pretty much what we do. There's a lot of adjustments here that you can do. The good thing about it is you can also change the front, so you can get really crazy with the anti-pro squat and changing the positions of the arm. So we're gonna go ahead and clean that up, and then we're gonna dig into these CVs, and then I'll show you what I did with them. All right, so as you can see, we got our rear arms here disassembled. Biggest thing here is your CVs. I think this was CVs, CVAs, however you want to call them. So as you can see, I have them apart right here, so if I can get out of the shadow. So the biggest thing you really want to look at, and it has happened to me, it has happened to Kevin, I'm pretty sure it's happened to others, is this pin right here. It goes in between here with this in it, and this is what holds it all together. And obviously it goes around in the inside of this bearing, so it's kind of all put together, right? So this pin right here, the edges will get wore out, and as they get wore out, they round off, and then it'll break. This is one of the weakest point of this whole deal, and you'll be going just fine, and then this gives out, especially with your high bike tracks. So taking this apart, cleaning this up, it gets a lot of dirt in it. So I'll clean all this out, check the pin if it's good. We'll put it back together. We'll throw some black grease in it, and then go on our way. Now, bearings. Yes, you can pop the seals on these bearings, and especially if you're spec racing, you can take these off and clean them out, and put some really light lubrication in it. Helps them spin freer. But for the most part, we run Outlaw, and it would help in 10.5, but the most time-consuming thing is just go ahead, replace them. You can get a good set of pack of bearings for a decent price. If not, you can shop around and get a good decent price. But if you really had to, you could take these apart, clean them up, and lubricate them. But if it's just best, just go ahead and replace them, especially for a big race like this. All right, guys, as you can see, we got it all back together. We got it all glued up. We got it all greased up. Everything feels good. Bearings checked out. Pins are good. The small pins in here are good. Another thing I forgot to mention is, especially on these associated, there's always also a little pin behind this that drives that, so make sure that's good. Biggest thing is do maintenance. You want this to be everything free. You don't want no binding, nothing, because then you're not allowing the car to do its job. All right, guys, so it's the next day. got the car all together. Pretty much what I've done is rebuild everything. One of the things I did remove is the top shaft and remove the slipper, put a slip eliminator on it. Requires to change the top shaft, so that's just another mechanical failure we're going to eliminate. Went through all the shocks, make sure everything's good, refresh the oil. I pretty much did 50, 45, 1.7 pistons, and then we went through the front end, just make sure everything was good. So now we got everything back together, we got the car ready to go, and then I just wanted to show y'all the little braking process that I do, which I've seen on YouTube, but another pro driver for X-Ray did it. So what we're gonna do is go here. I'm just gonna, we can find the right one here. I'm gonna trim forward. And there it is. So what I've got is the screwdriver in this right rear deal, and it's spinning. So all it's doing is just rotating inside of there, breaking in the balls. It's got new carbide balls in it, new rings. So we're just wearing everything in. It's not very tight yet, the diff. So I'll pretty much just repeat this process over a period of 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. I'll stop it, tighten it up a little bit more and run a little bit more, and then it should be set. The other thing we can do is probably run up and down the street, just make sure everything's good. So I just wanted to show y'all that real quick. Everything. These are not stock shocks. Make sure all the shocks are straight. Everything is straight. Measured out all my lengths. Make sure the car is balanced out. Put back to a neutral setting. Only thing we gotta do is put tires on it and set the right height, and we should be good on this car. So I just want to give you a quick little update. So what we'll do next is the SC mod that we're going to run. Pretty much we're going to repeat the same process. So yeah, that's it. It's the next day. We just finished up the car. I was going to do like a 2 version of it, but I didn't want to just extend the video over really not much information. So in a nutshell, that's what pretty much I'm going to do with the other car. Now, when I got the chassis from Silky, I took pretty much the drivetrain and everything off of another chassis and put it in this one. So I already had rebuilt, put new CV, everything in it. So it wasn't too bad. It's just the diff. But I honestly think when I was having issues, if you heard on the video, I mentioned something about slipping. I think it was that slipper. It was loose. So put the slipper eliminator on it, rebuilt the whole thing. It's got new shocks in it. The shocks that car has is actually something that Silky got me into. Spent a lot of money on these shocks, but it's been worth it. But it's no different than any other shock. We just make sure everything's good. Bladders, if you have bladders, everything. Make sure everything's good. No leaks. Want to hold your fluid. So pretty much about it. So next up, I'm going to go ahead and get the hard stuff over with the SC mod, which is the same thing. Take everything apart, put it back together, and then we're going to start jumping into the bodies and tires and stuff like that. So thank you again for watching. Thank you for all the support, and we're off to the races before we get to the races. So we're trying to get this done. So I appreciate y'all watching. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.